Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I look a little crazy right now. I basically just put on my foundation and then I realized I could be recording this. Let's just say that recording myself doing my makeup, it's just not my forte. I'm not good at it. I am very hard on myself when I record myself doing makeup or attempt to. So I don't do these often. My sister does. I'll link her channel down below. She is good at that stuff. I've been kind of in like a recording funk. I don't know what to record. In the beginning of this whole quarantine, I had so many ideas and now I feel like I hear crickets. Every time I think about recording, I'm like, what do I even record at this point? Because there's really nothing to do and I don't want to just record a video, and I don't know, I've just been like so blah. So I just stopped myself to at least have you guys join me wherever I am in this process. Like I said, I already have my foundation on. I just mixed some drugstore, I guess I'll show you, Pro Matte, Pro Glow, L'Oreal Infallible line, and I'm like into that dewy skin look recently. It doesn't look super dewy right now, but I've been loving dewy skin, which is so not me. I used to only be like matte as possible, but lately I've been wearing a little bit less makeup, or at least eye makeup, and more just like glowy skin. So let's jump right in. So I've mentioned this Fast Base Concealer by Revolution. It's from Ulta and I believe they're $5 a pop. And I don't use it as a concealer, I use it as a contour stick. It's awesome, it's super creamy, once again super inexpensive, and it just works so well. I do love the Chanel Tan de Soleil or something like that, that bronzer, the cream bronzer, but it's so expensive and I'm running low and I hear that it's like sold out, so I'm just saving that for the weekends. Here's the thing, I am such an amateur with my setup, my lighting. I don't have, what is this? Oh, that's the bed. This line looked like a laptop or something to me for a second. Guys, I don't know, I'm losing. It's been a long week. One more thing, my self tanner is currently like shedding. It's in the shedding process, so it's really coming off of my wrists right now. So please ignore the way they look. It's typically not this patchy on me. I mean, I do have a couple bumpy applications once in a while, but it looked really nice this whole entire week. But it is a week old, so it's like it's starting to just fade out a little strangely. Anyway, so this is kind of like what I do daily. Even though there's nothing for me to do, I still love to put on a full face of makeup most days, just because I feel better. I just blended out my entire forehead and half of this cheek, and I realized I was not in focus. So that's nice. It keeps wanting to focus on that thing behind me. So if the rest of this video is botched, this video will never see daylight. So I have 0 cheekbones, so I like to create that line here, basically from the top or the middle of my ear to the middle of my lips, and then I just keep blending, and then I'm going to clean it up a little bit later. I also use the Sigma angled kabuki brush for blending out all of my contour. I don't know why I can't blend it out well with the Beauty Blender. I feel like it kind of like steals all the product and then makes me look more blotchy. It's weird. And then I blend the rest down my neck so that I don't look super white over here. So the next thing I do is highlight. I don't do things in a typical order. I always do my cream contour and then I highlight. I just feel like it's so much easier for me to blend out my cheek, and I'll show you guys in a second. So anyways, I use Ofra Cosmetics Rodeo Dry Highlighter. I'm basically almost out of it. I freaking love this highlighter, you guys. It's so pretty. So I just swirl my brush in there and I pack on the highlighter basically all the way down to my cheek, like the apple of my cheek. And then I do above my eyebrow. I do a little bit on the tip of my nose and on my Cupid's bow. And then I go back to contouring. And now I'm using a powder color, like a powder contour. I use the Hoola Benefit bronzer. It's the best neutral bronzer on the market. I've tried them all. There's so many good ones out there, but I feel like this one is just so good. So then I'm going to follow that cream contour. This kind of just like sets it in place, because I feel like if I don't set it with a powder contour or a powder bronzer, it doesn't last all day. It'll start to move around with my foundation. So I will solidify that contour. And this is where I start to look like I actually have some kind of cheekbones. I bring it all the way down and I kind of create this shape here. It looks a lot more vibrant on camera. It's obviously more subtle in real life. And then I do the same thing here. So I basically create that almost like a Nike sign it kind of just like slims my face. Then I go in with my blush, and I typically 95% of the time use this Too Faced Sweetheart blush in the color Peach Beach. It's gorgeous, gorgeous. It has a lot of like shimmer in it, or sheen. It's very like glowy. So I focus it more on that pink shade in the middle. Tap it off, and then I do most of it right here. And then I blend it back. Repeat to the other side. And then I always add some top of my nose, on my chin, and whatever's left on my forehead. And then lastly, I go in with my MAC blot powder in the color medium dark. And all that I do is I swirl my flat brush in there, tap off the extra, and I do a little bit on the middle of my forehead, a little bit down my nose. And this is very important to me because I have the most annoying smile lines, and all of my makeup loves to just dive in there and sit there. So I basically have to blot that section. And it kind of just like sets the makeup in place so that it doesn't crease for me there. Do you guys want to hear something funny? I forgot to do my concealer. It actually looks okay, funny enough, because I do put my foundation pretty close to my eyes. But we're gonna still go in with the concealer, even though most of my product, my face now has powder all over it. We shall fix this. We will rise on top. Where is my mirror? Do you see why I don't record myself doing my makeup? How do you forget concealer? I got too excited. I did my foundation and then I stopped and realized I can record this. And then I just went straight into contouring. I just got so excited. So now I'm gonna have to be super careful. I use the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, and this color is way too light for me right now, but we are gonna go with it. This is light sand. Okay, I'm literally just gonna put it more on the inner part because this is where I have most of my dark circles. This is hilarious. And now we quickly say a prayer to not mess up all of the work that I just did. I'm just going to very carefully tap, focusing like in one area because I'm so scared. Okay, not bad. And then we have to quickly set underneath whatever I just did so that doesn't crease. And I use the Laura Mercier translucent powder for years and years. It's hard for me to find anything else. I feel like a little goes a long way with it too, and it does the job. So I'm done with my face and we're going to jump into the eyes, but I did want to talk about the highlight situation. So for me, typically when I save the highlight for last, like most people do, and then you kind of like, use a thin brush and just like add it on, I feel like it's so harsh and it doesn't blend out well. It just kind of sits where you put it, at least for me in my experience. I don't know if it's my dry skin or whatever, but if I put the highlighter on basically after cream contour and then I do all of my dry products after, it just blends so much better and there's no harsh line. So yeah, I'm gonna prime my eyelids real quick, just a little of the same concealer, and blend that out with my finger. Gonna get my little mirror out. I'm gonna set that with some translucent powder. Once again, to stop it from creasing. I crease very easily. So this definitely helps for it to not crease. And now for the fun part. I always use the KKW Beauty palette. You guys, it's the same palette I did a video on before when I did kind of like a review. I'm obsessed with it. Ever since then, I don't think I've used another palette. I'm not kidding. It literally has the perfect everyday shades, and I'm just obsessed. As you guys can see, I use, let me show you guys 1 second. I use these two shades the most, And I always start my makeup with this orangey one. So I'm gonna put that on a fluffy brush and blend that into my crease. And I'm not specific, I'm pretty messy with it, just back and forth. We're just adding that warmth to your eye. Look at that difference already. Just adds some sun. Repeat on the other side. This is like the easiest makeup look. I'm not kidding. I feel like you have to have zero skill to be able to do this, because honestly you're just roughly blending it into your crease to just kind of wake your eyes up. Then I take an angled brush like this and I'm gonna go into that brown, the dark brown shade here, and very sloppily, I have to emphasize that, this is in no way supposed to be super neat. I just put this on the outer part of my eye like that, just messily, and just leave it and do the other side. I kind of, I guess, stop more towards like the middle. I start at the outer and then I don't get past that middle part of your eye. And then I take any brush that is good for blending and go back and forth until you basically diffuse all of what you just did. And I still keep it pretty low. I don't like bring it up to my crease. I'm just trying to blend it out. I'm gonna go back in and add a little bit more closer to the lash line on both sides, and I'm gonna reblend all that again. Like that, and then blend. And the last step is I just take a black eyeshadow. This is from MAC. I think it's the color Carbon. Basically rubbed off in the back. I've had it for way too long. I'm still using that same angled brush. I'm gonna go with the black, tap it off, and very carefully here, focus as tightly to the lash line as possible. And kind of keep that there. We're making a diffused eyeliner effect. I have super rounded eyes, so I typically focus a lot of my eyeshadow just to the corner to make them look a little bit more cat eye, but not too much. And this is a very easy way to do it. Do the same thing here. And I'm not really blending this out too much. I'm just dispersing it like across the lash line on the outer part of my eye. I'm gonna take that same blending brush and I'm just very lightly, like barely touching, blending it out just so that there's no harsh black line. And it just makes your eye look very smoky, and it looks like you really tried, but you didn't. Then I'm gonna take my mascara. I always use the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. It's the best mascara ever. And I'm gonna coat my lashes. I do one coat of mascara, and then I wait about like 30 seconds for it to dry a little bit, and then I do one more coat. So total of 2 coats per eyeball. While I wait, I'm gonna sip on my Diet Coke. Oh, I can't find the straw. These are the straws I shared on my Instagram a couple days ago. If I remember, I'll link them down below. So now I'm going in to my second coat, and I like to try to push them up a little bit at the root of the lash to just kind of lift them a little and make them darker. Then I always go back to the Rodeo Drive highlighter, swirl my little finger in there and add it to the inner corner. I can't not do this step. I try so hard to just like let it go, but there's just something about that extra pop, and then I'll just kind of tap it in, blend it out. It just makes your eyes look really like. Now the hardest thing is for me to do my eyebrows. I hate doing them. I think I finally figured out how I like them. They just take so long. Honestly, this whole look, no joke, takes me 15 minutes to do. When I'm recording it for you guys, it's probably a lot longer just because I'm talking and stopping, but typically it takes like no time at all. My eyebrows, on the other hand, oh my goodness. So I always use the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in taupe, right? No, not in taupe, in ash brown. And that's basically for 80% of my brow. And then all on the front part of my brow, I use the Anastasia Brow Powder Duo in taupe. So it's this little guy. I'm going to try my best not to butcher this. I probably will on camera though. So the first thing I do is I take the pencil and I start in the front of my brow all the way in the bottom, and I draw a line across the brow very lightly. I have the worst brows. My brows grow in different directions. I'm not kidding. They don't just grow like across or straight. Here, this one kind of tilts this way, whereas this one grows up. So I have to do so much to make them look not so crazy. And also, I don't have a lot of brows. Each piece is just very thick. It's like the most wild combination of brows you can have, but I'm so blessed. So I draw across to kind of give myself a guide of the shape that I want. And then I'll kind of fill it in a little. And then always brush up and across, or at least in the direction that your brows grow. This is how my brows grow, so I have to blend it up here and then across this way. So that's step one, and I'll leave that side and then I'll go over here. Obviously it looks crazy. I don't know if the camera's even picking it up, but do the same thing here. Kind of draw that guide across. I'm not going to be super precise because I'm going to clean all this up at the end. And then brush up a little. I'm going to go back here again. Just play with them until I like it. That's why it takes so long, because it takes me a while to actually figure out what I like. So we're going to leave that. So then I take this very small angled brush. It's the Morphe M409 brush. And I'm going to go into the lighter shade on the little brow powder palette thingy. And I'm going to lightly tap it in. Bear with me here. This is going to be insane. But my eyebrows don't grow very close together. And I realized that back in the day, my line here was just way too far apart. I would over pluck that area because I wasn't crazy about the direction that my hairs grew. So I would pluck it until they both looked the same, which is horrible. So now that they kind of grew back in, I still bring them a little closer together just because I realize that's way more flattering for my face. So what I do is I flick a little line, I don't know if you can see that, on both sides. Like I extend it a little bit and then I just go up and down and almost create like hair. And it's not precise. I'm just gonna keep flicking it up until it diffuses a bit. I'm not gonna go in again. I just went in once. So whatever powder is left here, I'm gonna work with it and just keep trying to have this diffuse and go up. This is the part that takes the longest on my brows. We'll do the same for this side. Just keep going up, 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 and blend and across. Also, my brows are very dark, and I feel like they don't have that withered effect where most people don't have like dark brows here. It tapers out to be dark. Mine are just dark everywhere. So basically I have to create my own diffused front brow, if that makes any sense. Now I'm gonna take my spoolie and also just brush it up. And it's gonna really diffuse that line. Brush. I'm gonna leave the front like this for now, and then I'm gonna go back into that lighter taupey color with that brush, and then just draw across on top very lightly. Just fill in a lot of like the sparse areas because I have plenty of those. Very roughly, like nothing super specific, because I'm gonna still clean that part up too and blend it out. And then I'm going to stop at this point here and then fill in this part with the mix with the NYX brow pencil to make that part a little darker. So I'm taking the pencil and just lightly drawing out the corner with a little tail, and I'm going to extend it just a little bit. Go over it a couple times to make it a little darker. And then I always blend. I'm always just using the spoolie to kind of brush out the hair so that none of it is harsh. My battery just died on me. That's when you know you was taking too long, girl. Next, I take this small flat brush. It's actually like a lip brush from e.l.f. I've had it forever, and I always use it. Where's my mirror now? Next is a very important step. I take some concealer, and we are going to clean this whole situation up because it's very uneven in the front, and it's just like, it's not looking cute yet. So I'm gonna take that flat little brush, dip it in my concealer front and back, and very carefully I'm going to carve out the front section. I've actually seen Kylie Jenner doing something similar. She'll use like a powder, especially in the front, and then she'll carve it out, and it really helps diffuse that brow. Here we go. So I'm basically connecting this shadow part to the rest of my brow, and then blend that out. And I'm gonna clean it all the way across. Then I'm gonna wipe off the brush and then try to blend that down so that there's no harsh line, and just have it kind of blend into my shadow. And then take my spoolie and just continue to brush up. And then I'll do the other side. This is the hardest part because my brows are very different, so like different from each other. So trying to make them look even a little bit similar is what takes the longest for me. And then if there's something on top that I don't like, I'll use that brush, but without any extra product, and I'll just kind of like clean it up, even though it actually came out nice today. This brow can sometimes give me some trouble. All right, so my makeup is done. This is basically how I wear it every single day. I'll sometimes change up the eye look depending. Maybe I'll just do like some mascara, but typically I do like to smoke out at least the outer corner of my eyes to kind of give it some depth and some like darkness. I love like anything that looks black and smoky. I just feel like it really wakes you up and it looks like you tried when you really didn't. All right, you guys, I'm gonna end the video here. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below. I'll be happy to answer them. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in our next one.